Virginia smoke. OVS, Old Virginia smoke. OVS, Old Virginia smoke. OVS, Old Virginia smoke. Old Virginia.
My name is Luke Darnell, Pitmaster of Old Virginia Smoke Barbecue, and I'm here to tell you about my new online class available at barbecuechamps.com. This is a 100% tell-all competition barbecue class from yours truly, available online. It is a masterclass with 34 high-definition tell-all online competition barbecue videos that can be watched anytime, and they do not expire. They are packed full of pro tips, techniques, and recipes that will show you how to take your barbecue to the next level. These 34 barbecue cooking videos total 7 hours and will show you everything that you need to take your competition cooking to a level that you never thought was possible. We've already heard from several teams that have bought our classes and have already seen success and gotten their first calls. So this is something that brings me a lot of joy in sharing my knowledge and seeing people be successful with it. So are you ready to take your competition and backyard cooking to the next level? What are you waiting for? Just go ahead and go to barbecuechamps.com and find Luke Darnell, Old Virginia Smoke. We hope you learn a lot and enjoy these videos and have as much fun cooking these recipes as we had making them. This podcast is brought to you by barbecuedata.com. Barbecuedata.com is your one-stop shop for all of your barbecue competition data. Historical data, calls, wins, placements, everything under one roof. It's a great way not only to track yourself in the standings, but also to track how you improve your scores from year to year. Listeners of this podcast can receive 20% off of a new subscription to barbecuedata.com with the code PITPOD. That's one word, all capital letters, PITPOD, PITPOD. So check your team scores, check on others, and do it all on barbecuedata.com. Welcome to another edition of Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast. My name is Luke Darnell, and we are here with a legend in barbecue and someone who should have been on this show a long time ago, but our paths never crossed, and we have with us today the great Harry Soo. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing wonderful, Luke. Happy to be here. I guess we kind of bumped into each other in the airport lounge, catching a flight to Denver. So there you go. Sometimes, we connect on different parts of the plane and the aisle, and I think you were sitting in front of me in the plane.
It was funny. We did we both were at the Shields thing, and you were there for your company, and I was there for Blues Hog, and we've seen each other in passing and talked and said hi, but yeah, I sat down at the airport and I looked across and there you were, and I was like, look, there's Harry Soo. So we had a great conversation about paella, and
yeah, I sent you a recipe. I'm not sure if you got it, but I did try to text you a recipe on the airplane.
I did, and I'm probably going to make it this on Sunday for Mother's Day, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we are so spoiled that we text recipes on the airplane at 30,000 feet and then to a passenger in front of us, and we are upset when he doesn't get there soon enough. So we have been so spoiled that it's hard to imagine from the dune and buggy days that how far we've come.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, just to be able to be going that fast and that high in the air and talk to somebody else is amazing. So, I don't know the answer to this question. Do you do competitions anymore?
I do. I have been competing. It's my 15th year now. And
oh, wow.
I found that my journey has kind of evolved. I started in the competition arena and then on kind of TV shows. And, I've had my fair share of good fortune, and I'm grateful for all the awards I've won. And I'm really happy. But I realized that I am happy when other people win. And I'm happiest when I'm part of other people's journey when they walk on stage. And I just cannot believe it that in 15 years, I have personally trained and coached about 4,000 pitmasters.
That was one
classes. This is absolutely insane. When I'm getting ready for my Saturday class, and I'm looking at the attendee list, and I'm scrolling down Excel spreadsheet. It's like, hey, how did I get to the bottom of the Excel spreadsheet? Because I never imagined that I would be a barbecue instructor. I, by good fortune, ended up on a TV show. called Barbecue Pitmaster Season 1 after, my coworkers saw the movie The Bucket List and challenged me to do a stretch goal. And I was just going to cook one contest. So in many regards, right, your viewers should know that I am an accidental pitmaster. I have no business doing barbecue. Is my passion. And I got my first taste of barbecue when I went to Texas Tech. And that little, surreal taste of barbecue and brisket. And I say, oh my God, how can food taste so good? About 40 years ago, rolled into now my retirement chapter. So I always want people to know that in life, don't follow logic, don't follow the journey, follow what's in your heart, and do what gives you joy. I worked in IT for 30 plus years, building data centers and computer engineering and all that kind of crap. And now I'm behind that. now all I need to do is worry whether the brisket will overcook or not. And it's a important reminder for us to to have gratitude each day, be thankful each day, and to also realize that life is brief. So live it with intensity. So I am an accidental pitmaster, and I think that everybody should follow these happy accidents in their life and just go with whatever their heart tells them to do.
That's incredible. I was going to ask you how many people you had taught, and 4,000 is a staggering number.
And I teach them in small classes. I don't have like 100 people. The one in Shields, 100 people, that's very rare. And then the one in the master class in Weber, 100, well, that's very rare. But I like to teach like one-on-one. Not watch me behind Jumbotron. I teach you one-on-one. We do everything together, and then I make sure that you do everything. Like, for example, in Shields, right, we all had, like, I had 3 students. So it was an ability for me to kind of work with 3 people and then can pass on what I know. And I think that there's something different about having a one-on-one class versus having 80 people in class and you're talking to thousands of people. Like in Germany, I was doing those trade shows and I was doing almost hundreds and hundreds of people at the same time. So I think that I really like the personal interaction whenever I share barbecue love.
Absolutely. And that's a great way of putting it when you're sharing barbecue love. I can't remember the quote, but, and who to attribute it to, but said, cooking food for somebody is the ultimate way to show them love. And what better way than doing that outside and with barbecue. And it's funny that you mentioned the joy that it brings you seeing your students walk the stage and get an award. And I've taught maybe 150 people, but whenever I see them go and get a call where it's their first call or something, like, I feel like a proud dad. Like, I'm really glad to see that I help them with that. And it's awesome to hear you say that. And I can tell your passion just from the limited time that I've been around you.
Yeah. And I tell people that, in life, don't collect assets, don't collect things, don't collect barbecue trophies, collect experiences. And if you want to spend money, spend it on an experience. I'm actually, before this call, I was actually editing the video. I donated all my 500 trophies to the United States Marine Corps.
Oh, wow.
I'm editing a video because a lot of my students are from our veterans, because I help veterans charities like Operation Homefront. So I decided, my garage is full of all these trophies and I have no need for them because I have the memories and the energy of those events in my life, and I need to give them away. And I found out very sad that, every day 20 veterans kill themselves through suicide. So some of my friends who are, USMC, they have these charities that they built where they use the trophies as a way to help them overcome mental challenges, the PTSD and so on. So I thought, what a great way to repurpose all my trophies, because, what am I going to do? They're clogging my garage. So A-Rod came over, and Joel, another Navy submariner veteran, came over. They dismantled all my trophies for me. And then they put them in the boxes, and now they're going to go back and repurpose them and use them as a way to give to other veterans who are encountering mental challenges to help them overcome, these psychological issues that they face. And I thought, what a great way to repurpose my trophies.
Absolutely.
I couldn't ask for a more priceless way to give back to people. And barbecue is really about spreading that love around the world. To teaching people to be inclusive, not exclusive.
That's great, man.
So
What
whether
a great
you
story.
cook brisket fat up or fat down, we love ya.
No matter which way. Well, which way do you do it, Harry?
I always tell people everything I do is a 3 hour argument and Jerry Springer fist fight. And God bless Jerry Springer since he passed away. But I still will be quoting him for a while because everybody understands the dynamics and the energy and the passion behind barbecue. And we have so many tribes in barbecue. And my goal in life is to let the tribes know that we gotta be inclusive, not exclusive. So we love ya,
Absolutely.
whether you cook it fat up or fat down.
I love that. I love that. I tell people all the time that the reason I love barbecue is there's 10,000 different ways to do it, and not one of them is wrong, and not one of them is right. It's whatever you want to do and how you're comfortable with it. And that's
I always tell people that the same philosophy as you is that if you're having fun and you have joy doing what you're doing, keep doing it. So if somebody comes up to you and say, "Hey, look, I make the best ribs in the world," you say, "How do you make the ribs?" I boil them first, and then I throw them on a grill, and I slather on the Walmart barbecue sauce until the ribs burn, and I really like that. And my immediate response is that I have to fight the lizard brain in me wanting to say something unkind. So my next question will be, what do you do with the ribs? And if the person says I use it to spread barbecue love, my response is, may I try some of your world's best ribs?
That's great. Well, let's dive into Harry Soo, the competitor, a little bit here, and talk about how your career and life experiences outside of barbecue helped prepare you to be a pitmaster on the competition trail.
I think that to be a competition pitmaster, you got to have passion and you have to have competence. And I had no pedigree. It wasn't like my grandpa taught my pa taught me how to cook barbecue. I arrived back in the 80s in Texas Tech University, and one of my classmates took me out for barbecue, and I ate that brisket in Lubbock, Texas, and I fell in love with American barbecue. And because I was a computer engineering student, kind of a AK computer hacker, I decided that I know how to crack the code for barbecue because I'm going to employ what computer scientists call a brute force attack. So imagine a gym locker with 000 on the dial. You go 001, 002, 003. Eventually what will happen, the gym locker will open. Right. So I can use that technique for computer hacking to figure out how to cook that wonderful Texas brisket. So I would cook it with salt and pepper, results. Salt, pepper, chili powder, results. Salt, pepper, chili powder, sugar, results. Salt, pepper, chili powder, sugar, garlic powder, results. So I built something called Harry's Lego block system, where if you want red, you add more red. You don't like red blocks, you lower the red blocks, but the red blocks fit the blue blocks. Can it make sense?
Yes.
So what I did was I developed in Texas Tech 40 years ago, my little Lego system, which I never imagined would come back. And I'll tell you the story a little bit of my Lego. That these Lego blocks are 4 Lego blocks, right? Something salty, something sweet, some chili and spices. So within each of these 4 blocks, there's literally dozens, if not hundreds of combinations. So what I did was I distilled all of the spices, all of the salts in the world, all the chilies in the world, and all the sugars in the world into these 4 blocks. So I slotted that into 4 blocks. And I would mix and match these 4 blocks. And I would cook it, and I would taste it. I would cook it, and I would taste it. Now, I did that for a while for my own, education in Texas Tech, never imagining I would ever use it again until the fortuitous day when the movie The Bucket List came out a dozen years ago. So I made barbecue. I used to bring it to work, feed my coworkers. And that's how I get things done because I work in a government setting. And sometimes in government, it's hard to get people to do anything for you, if you know what I mean. Because, money is not a motivator in government, right? So people do things for you because you're nice to them. So I would basically cook barbecue not only for my team in building data centers for 300 cities and, 20 million people, but I would send it to purchasing. I would send it to engineering. So every time I have a PO, I have an invoice. bam, things happen. So like our treasurer, sometimes I cut checks for like millions of dollars. And then the treasurer gets upset. Hey, Harry, how come you didn't tell me there's a multi-million-dollar check that you cut for your purchase? And I say, oh, I'm so sorry, Roger. Then I bring barbecue. And then next thing, everything is fine.
Everything's fine.
So I became successful as a computer, the data center builder because of barbecue, because I would feed everybody, feed my crew, and all the teams would want to work on my team in my department. And they would actually fight to get into my department because they knew that in addition to doing good work, there's always the bonus of feeding them. And they love it when we had project kickoff and project milestones and project conclusions because they knew Harry would bring the barbecue. So that was kind of how I started in the whole world of barbecue. And I never knew that any of my flavors were any good because I just cooked them for myself and my coworkers until the movie The Bucket List came. And one of my coworkers said, hey, no, let's give you a stretch goal, Harry. You're an introvert. Let's make you do a stand-up comedy class and let's make you go to a barbecue contest. And it was a dare. And I packed my bag and went to a contest in Palm Springs. I was going to cook only one contest, but I ended up winning it. So to answer your question about how I do competition, I approach competition the same way. I cook flavors that I think will resonate with the judges. And for me, it's like learning the competition involved me reading a book from John Willingham called Championship Barbecue. That's how I started. I didn't know anything about competition barbecue. And in a couple of weeks, I'm actually going to be flying out to Memphis and cooking on the John Willingham team.
Awesome.
So this crazy journey that is so surreal that if I described it to you, you think I made it up. But just to tell you the story about the John Willingham story, I read his book, bought a few tips, and I went to my first contest in Palm Springs. Had no idea what I was doing. I bought the Pepper Smoky Mountain from Amazon on Wednesday. I went to the contest on Friday, packed half my kitchen in the minivan. They're still sitting in my driveway. And I went to the contest. I won it just like that. Just totally dumb luck. I had no idea what I was doing. In fact, I was asking all the teams around me, like, what do I do now? What do I do with this? That's a white styrofoam box. What is this box for? And they all were kind of coaching me. And then when I won, they say, oh, you must be a ringer. I say, no, honestly, I had no idea what I was doing. And then a few months later, some guy calls me in the middle of a contest in Northern California, 5 minutes before the rib entry. And I thought, why would my phone ring 5 minutes before the rib turned in at 12:25? And the guy say, hi, you don't know who I am? My name is John Marcus. I'm a TV producer. I want to put you on a TV show. So I say, yeah. And I hung up because I knew it was one of my competitors trying to prank me in the middle of a contest. So then on the way home on Sunday, I talked to my partner. Hey, Mark, I think I had a crazy phone call in the middle of the rib turn in. And there's some guy saying he's a TV producer. I picked it up. I was like, oh, wow, he's a 212 area code. So I called him back and then got to meet the producer for the Barbecue Pitmaster season 1, John Marcus. And on Tuesday, a pile of paper that picture from Discovery Channel. And I went back and scolded my coworkers. Look what you guys did. You got me into this crazy barbecue thing and some guy wants to put me on TV. I've never been on TV. I have no idea what to do. I'm not an actor. I'm just an IT nerd, that you hide in the back room. And they said something that still resonates to me. They say, what is the worst thing that can happen to you, Harry? You go on national TV and you make a total fool of yourself. And if I had known that on that national TV show would be 3 world champions, right? Tuffy Stone, Johnny Tricks, and Myron Mixer, I would have run for the hills. That would be like going on to a reality basketball show playing with Steph and LeBron, So,
right.
It's so crazy. I mean, I cannot even make it out if I try. And then on top of that, in the season finale, I ended up winning it, just completely Cinderella story. We shot it in Texas, and they said, oh, Harry, come to the final season finale shoot. And I say, where? Oh, it's in Dallas, Texas. Oh, what are we going to cook? You're going to cook ribs. I say, wait, I'm cooking ribs against the 3-time world champion, Johnny Trigg. I have a snowball's chance in hell in Texas. Right? And then when we were on a set shooting the thing, it was just kind of a sloping road. They put me at the bottom of the hill with my little Vin van and my little Weber Smoky Powder against. I had to look up the hill, looking at all of the $50,000 pits that all my competitors were using. So I thought, okay, I'll just cook my ribs and pack up my bag and just drive back to LA and be done with the TV show. And literally, you see on TV, my jaw actually dropped when they said
I remember it.
Absolutely crazy. That was completely unscripted. It was not made up. It was just everything was on the fly. I think season 1 I believe season 1 is the only one where they shot it with. They had 16 people following us around the country for 4 months.
Wow,
I
that's
think right. It was a terribly expensive production because that's not a really good way to shoot a show. have to have a 16-person film crew follow 7 teams across the country for several months. It must have cost a huge amount of money, because I think after that, right, they shot it in the soundstage, in the studio, in a control setting, right? They brought everybody in and they had all the cameras set up and they shot it in a static setting. For us, right, they had teams of 4 people follow us around. So these teams of 4 would just kind of like go around. And then from the raw footage, it's really scary, because John Marcus told me it was really scary that you could get enough footage to make a show, because there was no script, right? They just follow you around and shot whatever they could. And they had 80 hours of footage per episode. They went back to the production studio and then try to make a 42-minute segment that's interesting out of 80 hours of footage shot by a team of 16 people. So it was a really scary way to make a movie. Can you imagine that if you were the producer and director, right? You didn't know what you were shooting. You just look at all the footage and say, let me make some story of this.
That's a great story. That's a great inside look too at how they film those things. We were lucky enough to be on Barbecue USA with Michael Simon, and just seeing the behind the scenes and how many people were involved and just, following just us for the 2 days was incredible.
Yeah, like on Food Network, I was shocked. I went and shot the chopped on the thing. There's like 100 people behind the scenes, right? And you only have 4 contestants, but there's 100 people in front of you, and it's really intimidating, because you realize, wow, it takes 100 people to shoot 4 people in a 30-minute setting, and then when you open up the box, you feel that panic set in. You say, oh my God, what am I gonna do with brisket ice cream? I didn't even know there's such a thing called brisket ice cream.
Right. I had no idea there was brisket ice cream. I would try it. Everybody likes to talk about their successes and everything. Do you have a favorite failure of yours where something went wrong at a contest and you really learned from it and it allowed you to be successful moving forward?
Oh, I have so many stories. I don't know where to start, but I will tell you a very quick one. It's a funny one, because I compete by myself, so I'm a one-man cook, right? So I have to wake up and cook my brisket and spray and wrap and all that kind of stuff. So it was a contest I was doing in SoCal somewhere, and I usually spray my brisket as it cooks. I put my brisket around 10 p.m. Then I have to spritz it. I have to kind of get crawl into my minivan to get some shut eye, and then wake up and spray. So I woke up, in the darkness, and I was too lazy to turn the lights on, so I was spraying my brisket all day long. And then by the morning, I realized that the bottle that I was spraying the brisket with wasn't water.
What was it?
It was Simple Green.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I read the instructions. Simple Green is safe for human consumption. So that day, I turned in the brisket, sprayed with Simple Green, and I won. So don't tell any of the judges who were there that day. But that's my story. That should I start spraying my brisket with Simple Green in future contests? No,
I hope not.
Yeah.
Well, and it's great that you're still teaching, because the methodology and the stuff that I know about how you cook, that we all grew up learning from you through the television shows and through videos and through your website. And what is the advice that you would give to somebody who's just starting out in competition barbecue? What would be like the 2 things you would tell them starting out?
One is, of course, don't get gas. That's the most common problem I've seen around the world. Gas stands for G stands for gear, A stands for acquisition, and S stands for syndrome. So gear acquisition syndrome afflicts a lot of pitmasters, particularly men, because they can't cook, because they are all obsessed over the smoker. It's the wrong color, it's the wrong pedigree, it's not offset, it's not a drum, it's a pellet, it's electronics, no electronics, electricity, blah, 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 blah. They are paralyzed, because all day long what they do is go online and listen to all these different forums and YouTube videos and people like me, and become, quote unquote, the keyboard expert in equipment. They don't cook. All they do is they just wax lyrical about all these different pieces of equipment, the pros and cons, and they know everything about every equipment, but they've never actually cooked at all. So my students, right, are admonished with my simple guideline. For every 3 hours that you cook on your pit, you're allowed to serve the internet 1 hour, 3-to-1 ratio.
Oh, wow.
Because when you spend that 1 hour, that will corrupt your mind. Because, there are many people out in the world, including Tutsi Tomanes from Snows Barbecue. She can cook better than me with a shovel and a pile of wood with no equipment, right? So I always tell people it's always the pitmaster, never the pit. So that's the number one problem I've seen around the world. Everywhere I go, the first question everybody asks is that, gee, you are a Pulitzer Prize winning author. What keyboard do you use? I want to buy the same keyboard so that I can write the same articles. And that's the kind of prevailing attitude. And I cannot tell you, of all of the forums I've done, all the podcasts I've done, and all the Q&As I've done, AMAs, ask me anything, they always ask about equipment. No, never fear. That's the biggest priority. They feel that if I had the right smoker with the right offset, with the right drafting, with the right convective flow, with the right moisture, I'm going to create good barbecue. And I keep telling them that do not get gas. That is the number one problem I've seen around.
That's
the second problem that you will find, that I find is a very universal, is too much smoke.
Yes.
Most people don't realize that when you cook barbecue is like a spice, like a little bit of hint of salt, a little bit hint of pepper. The smoke is like a spice. You do not want to douse your meat with smoke. So whenever I do judging and master judging, I can always tell who are the beginners, because one big little bite of that thing and you kind of overdid it. This is too much. When you cook with smoke, you really have to be gentle, and it's a delicate balance.
Those are two really great ones.
Those are the two biggest problems. And I taught around the world, from Mexico to Kuala Lumpur to Singapore to Australia to Sydney to even to Germany. I've been to Ireland. I cook all around the world, taught around the world. And those are the two problems that bubble to the surface universally. Doesn't matter what language you're in. They always worry about the equipment and they always overdo the smoke.
Overdo the smoke. I tell people that all the time. They're like, "Oh, I used 8 wood chunks this week." I'm like, "That's entirely too much."
And those people that tell you they cook the brisket with mesquite, they lie. They do not cook the brisket for 14 hours with mesquite. Okay, they put 1 stick of mesquite in the beginning, and then the rest of it is post hoc. So all these things that you hear out there, I'm happy to burst people's bubble, because I think that there's a lot of disinformation and misinformation that doesn't serve anybody. We want everybody to be able to cook good barbecue. We don't want people to listen to the wrong advice.
Right, and there's so much advice right now that it's really hard to parse through it.
I posted a video a while ago on the 3-2-1 ribs and why it doesn't work, and I get all these trolls jumping on me. It's like, hey, cook the way you have joy. Don't listen to me, okay? Do it your way.
Let's talk about people in barbecue. Who has impacted your life the most in competition barbecue?
Wow, that is a tough question. There's so many people, right? And I've been influenced and encouraged and helped by so many people. I think that some of them are my students, some of them are my peers. But what I want to say in general is that the barbecue is a very unique community. It's like, if you're a race car driver, you will never have another race car driver helping you.
Right.
But in barbecue, I have to say that's the environment. I've been helped by so many people. I've gone through so many different eras in my career. In 15 years, right? I see a pattern. People kind of rise into the front and then they fade. And then they come to the front and then they fade, come to the front and they fade. And some of them are able to retool themselves into a version 2 of themselves. And some of them just kind of fade away. So I mentioned a few names. Famous Dave's is definitely one of the people that mentored me. He is so resilient, such a kind, gracious human being.
Absolutely.
He's really a pillar that we should all follow. There are so many names. I don't want to say them, because if I say one, people will say, "How come I'm one of my chopped liver, Harry? You didn't, I helped you out and you didn't say my name." But I think that Dave Anderson would be definitely one of them. There's so many people that I encountered. I mean, you were with me in Fargo, right? We had 30 of the top pitmasters.
Yeah.
More than half of them were more my really close friends, and all of them helped me. I mean, Tim Shea was cooking beside me, and he won the brisket entry, and he and I were chatting back and forth how he does things. And I was also kind of talking about all his new equipment. So there are so many people in barbecue, and I want to kind of get a message out to all the viewers and listeners that barbecue is a friendly sport. Even though we may be very intense in competition after the competition, we are all good friends.
Absolutely. And that is it's funny you mentioned, you've been the answer to this question from several people before, just to let you know. When I asked them
Oh,
who's
wow.
impact, yeah, you've been the answer a few times, and that's pretty cool.
I am so grateful and so blessed. I think that people sometimes they don't realize I'm sharing you my inner secrets without any reservation. And I show you my first place USA brisket recipe, first place USA chicken recipe, and nothing is held back. I just show you everything, right? Because at the end of the day, I want you to be successful.
Absolutely. And you mentioned helping each other. The last guest on the show, Chris Salisbury from Fred Vegas, he helped me this weekend with pork. And I got a pork call, which I haven't had in what seems like forever. So it's just a fantastic environment. And one of the things that we often get involved in, and I don't know if you do or not, I know I have many, many answers to this question, but do you have any habits of rituals or routines that you have to do at a contest that you have to do at that contest? Like superstitions or just a good luck charm or anything like that?
I do my Superman pose.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So as we sit here and we talk, you have to realize that this world we live in is not real. It's a manifestation of something called molecules. The molecules are made of atoms. The atoms are made of subatomic particles, and the subatomic particles are made of vibrational strings. That's not me just talking this science, right? So we've known
Sure.
that for about 34 years now. The scientists have told us that the universe we live in is not real. I mean, if this was the center of the hydrogen atom, the electron cloud is 5 miles around this thing. And then within the nucleus of the nitrogen atom is empty space. And beneath that is empty space. So I believe that in my journey of life, I've come to learn that this world we live in is a manifestation of energy, intelligence, and love. That's why when you touch anything and you cook anything, it's very, very important that you don't transfer the negative energy to the food. People cook competition and they don't win, and I know why. Because as soon as they showed up in a competition, they told me about how somebody cut them off on the freeway. They got upset. They drove into the parking lot, and the spot they were assigned was not optimum, too close to the restroom, too far from the judging tent. When they cook, they transfer that energy into the food. So when the judges eat the food, how can you get a perfect score? Because the energy you put into the food is not filled with love and kindness. So I teach people to do what we call the Superman pose. So the Superman pose is very powerful. You just raise your hand like that. Superman flying.
Uh-huh.
And then before you cook, you do a Superman pose. You take a deep breath. And then you release all that anger, anxiety, and energy from your body. So that your human being and your energy is clean and loving and compassionate and kind. Then you cook. That's the secret to how I won so many awards.
That's fantastic.
I'm no better cook than anybody in America. We're all pretty decent cook. Once you get to the top 100 in America, the 7,000 professional teams, you're a pretty decent cook. But the reason that I'm able to win is because I understand the world we live in is not real. So for those of you who are listening on to study, it's called quantum mechanics. And you study quantum mechanics, you understand that this was not real. We are nothing more than a manifestation of energy, intelligence, and love. So when you touch anything, you transfer the energy. So when you cook, you must release all that negativity of the traffic, of all the anxiety, of the anger you have, so that all you have is just pure love from your heart. That's why they always say mama's cooking is better. It's not because mama's the better cook. Mama cooks with love. That's why when you eat the food that mama makes, it may not be technically perfect, but you feel good eating it. That's the secret to getting 999s on your score sheet, is you got to give that love to the food, and the food is eaten by the judges, and the judges can feel and experience that energy you gave them. Then don't believe a single word I said. I always tell people, do not believe a single word I said. You go try it, and you will find that it works. I've had students of mine told me, Harry, I thought that was the biggest BS I heard in class. That's what I did. When I went home, I did that for my family. And it was a transformative experience. And some of them had told me that it even helped them fix family dysfunction, family trauma, by just exactly doing that, releasing all their energy, transferring that love to the food, the barbecue they made that you learned from me, and fed it to their family members. They cured physical trauma, they cured sexual trauma, they cured family trauma by just doing that. So I always tell people, don't believe a single word I say. You go try it, and you will come back and tell me the stories.
That's fantastic, and I 100% am on board with you. And I do things in my morning routine at a contest to clear the mechanism and fill my heart with joy, because I have a better time when I'm doing it that way, and I think that I cook better food when I do it that way. And
the road to happiness, a lot of people don't realize, is 3-step process, right? In order for you to be happy, you need to learn how to be thankful. And you cannot be thankful until you learn how to be grateful. Mm-hmm. So I meet a lot of people around the world, and some people are very, very wealthy that I meet. And I'm always wondered, because I'm a student of humankind. And the people who are unhappy always have the same situation. They don't know how to be grateful. Because when you don't know how to be grateful, then you don't know how to be thankful. And you can never be happy. Right. Unhappy people are always not thankful and not grateful. So the secret to life is really, every day when you wake up and you can move your toes, it's a good day. Don't complain.
Harry Soo is not just a barbecue coach, folks. He is a life coach. So
life coach. I should put a new shingle out there. Actually, it's funny you should mention that. I do have a new shingle called BeyondTheSmoke.net. I do barbecue, and sometimes, I like to kind of throw in a little bit of what I call life wisdom and barbecue wisdom. So I was teaching a class in Bakersfield, and the other instructor who was there heard my class, and he liked my class so much, and I found out that he's a TED speaker, the well-known TED speaker. His name is Nick Kittle. Uh-huh. So he said, Harry, you have a very interesting barbecue class. I'm a motivational speaker like a Tony Robbins, right? He says, would you like to come with me, and let's see if we can go around the country, and you teach the barbecue and barbecue wisdom. I'll teach the work wisdom and team building and quality management, everything. So I said, hey, why not? I've never done that. So what we did was we did a prototype class that was sold out in Texas. So he said, why don't we start a company that provides motivational training and life training using barbecue? So now we are both co-founders of a company called BeyondTheSmoke.net. And we have like 6 gigs booked this year. So I'm going around the country using barbecue to bring people together, to create the environment for a mock barbecue contest, to do team building, since that's what I did for the past 30 years in my professional job. So I'm transitioned to kind of doing some of that. And I think that's kind of fun because, when we were in Fargo, right? Remember we did the speed dating with the 820 different groups? Yeah. So remember when they used to call the 2-minute warning when almost our time is up, right? So what I did was I in the final 2 minutes, I did 1 minute of work wisdom, and I did 1 minute of life wisdom, just to give them some inkling.
Something to take away, right?
Yeah, to take away, because all of us were there hawking our product. You were hawking your product, I was hawking my rubs and sauces. And I realized, that's really boring. And I heard the feedback from the people in Fargo that they found that portion of the presentation actually more helpful than my regular spiel. As I was telling them, as a manager, you need to make sure you hire people. So I told them my secret to my success is not because I'm smart. I hire people that are smarter than I am. So what I do is when I hire somebody to come and work on my team, I require you to have 3 characteristics. Number 1, you must be competent. You must know your shit. You must know how to do the job.
Yep.
Number 2, you got to be kind, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you got to be motivated. So if you don't have those 3 characteristics, you won't last on my team, because I'm going to bump you off. And I tell them on day 1 when they show up, I say, you want to work on my team? You got to be kind. You got to be competent. You got to know your stuff. And then, and you got to be motivated. Because in government, it's really hard to be motivated. Because sometimes, everybody gets a paycheck, right? And everybody gets the same paycheck, and there's no bonus, there's no incentive, there's no stock options. So, but I'm able to bring the best out of people because I make them understand that really kindness is something that is not always spoken for, right? Your bedside manner is much more important to be successful in your professional life than you can possibly imagine. You and I know people don't get promoted because they are clever. They're promoted because they are good bartenders and they have good people skills.
That's right. I was a lobbyist for 25 years here in Washington,
Okay, so
D.C.
you are well
I understand exactly
what to connect with people, right? People don't care until they know you care. So you got to show people you care. And
Absolutely.
barbecue is a great way to show people you care. Because when you give them that brisket and that burnt end, and you give them that beautiful Kansas City perfectly tender rib, man, your project POs, your invoices, your paperwork just goes through smoothly.
Everything takes off at that point. It's
Yeah, pork
man.
fat rules. I always believe pork fat rules. It greases the process, which is so true. I use actually pork fat, a lot of pork butts in my career.
Man, I feel like we could talk for several hours. We might have to do a part two on this because I have to get to the rapid fire questions,
Oh, okay, let's do that. Yeah, let's do it.
which are my favorites, and I think that I'm very excited about your answers for these. So let's jump into it. What do you see about barbecue on social media that upsets or bothers you?
I think the big thing that upsets me is that a lot of people who wannabes, like I said, they are all keyboard cook. They don't cook.
Right.
They surf the internet and they read all what people say, and then somehow that makes them the expert. And I told you
Right.
before that people go online, they tell me that Harry, you're a fake pitmaster just because you wear a cowboy hat. You're not a real pitmaster. And by the way, your brisket looks like the anus of my dog before he poops, right? So, okay, man.
Thanks for the feedback.
Yeah, thanks for the feedback. I appreciate it. So I posted all over social media that say, you don't know who I am. I don't know who I am, but I do have 800 videos and you can watch them. And if you have success, more power to you.
Looks like the first time anyone's ever said dog's anus on the podcast. There
No,
we
and
go.
then the best part is all my supporters go online and say, wow, you really must have a good life because that's what you're paying attention to. You're watching your dog do his thing.
Oh boy. Do you have a favorite pre, during, or post competition meal?
Oh, okay. What do you call, before the meal, McDonald's number 2, breakfast.
Okay, perfect.
And then after the meal, hot dogs.
Hot dogs. See, I'm a big fan. If it's a contest and there's vendors around, I'm grabbing a hot dog right after the cook. I just think
I learned a hot dog from the Willingham team. So let me just take a tangent and tell you the Willingham. So I
sure.
tell you about the book or the Willingham book, right?
Yeah.
So I somehow found I wanted to go cook on John Willingham's team to pay homage to the man who kind of got me started because I bought his book, right?
Yeah.
And I found my friends in the Pacific Northwest or the PNWBA who cook on the Willingham team every year as helpers.
Uh-huh.
So I said, can I piggyback on you when you do the Memphis in May, and I'll go as a dishwasher because I just want to meet the man and the legend, and then thank him for starting me off my career. And lo and behold, I bought all my tickets, got a rental car, hotel, and everything. And very sadly, 2 days before I left for Memphis, he passed away. Just like natural causes, right? So I thought, oh my God, what do I do now? My idol is gone. And what do I do? Do I cancel my flight? Because, I shouldn't go and, bother the family in this time of mourning. But then my friend said, no, you bought your tickets, Harry, just fly to Canada, to Memphis and then meet the family. I will introduce you and you'll be okay. And, you can do whatever you want. So I said, yeah, let me go fly there and be a dishwasher. So guess what happened? I flew to Memphis and I met the family. And the family knew who I was. Okay, just like that. And then I told them about my story with John Willingham and how he mentored me. And they say, oh, by the way, that's John's trailer over there. We want you to go in there and cook the entry. So I thought, oh my God.
Wow.
It's like, whoa, this is like way beyond a dishwashing duty that I have for the Willingham team.
Yeah.
And I walked into his trailer and it was a surreal moment. I walked into his trailer and I felt his energy and I said, wow, what do I do now? And they said, no, he has got all his rubs and sauces here. Just make something up and then we'll use it for the contest because he's not here to cook. I say, wow, why me? I mean, it's like, God, I just came to the audition. So long story short, I made a few different combinations in the trailer. I made a couple of different sauces and I labeled them with a cocktail napkin sauce 1, 2, and 3. And I had the family eating, including Paul Holden, who's now the captain. And they liked a certain number 2 cocktail napkin sauce. And then I helped them cook the entry and they came in the highest place they had in 10 years. Right?
Wow.
So it was completely surreal. I could not even make it up if I tried. And now I'm going back every year. I am one of the guest cooks on the Willingham team. Paul Holden is the son-in-law who is now the captain and he's taken over the Willingham business. So I am just completely beside myself that I had this journey And then guess what? They say, we would like you to go to the funeral. I say, gosh, I didn't bring a suit. I am just smelling of 3 days of sweat and barbecue. Say, no,
Right.
don't worry. John would understand. Just go to the funeral place and then be in the back row. So I went to his funeral with all of the pitmasters from Memphis in May, and we stood in the back and paid
Oh,
homage to the man. So that was a completely surreal experience. And then in a couple of weeks, I'm headed to Memphis again because I'm cooking the exotic entry on the Willingham team. How cool is that? That I ended up now being a guest cook on the team.
that's fantastic, man. Wow. That
So
is a great
like I say,
story.
I tell the story because I want people to understand that in barbecue, don't listen to your brain, follow your heart. If you need to do something, don't ask yourself the pros and cons and the cost benefit analysis and the feasibility, blah, blah, blah. Just ask yourself, how do you feel about it? If you feel good, if you want to go on national TV and make a total fool of yourself cooking with 3 world champions, go ahead and live vicariously because nobody cares anyway. Nobody's going to remember you. You're going to be fading away. So in that little 15-minute segment of fame, go ahead and do it. Like, for example, this morning, I was just so shocked. I looked on the phone and apparently I'm on 31 billboards all over Southern California because I'm doing an event. I'm headlining an event in one of the contests here on June 1st together with Rod Gray and Adrian Brown. So
Oh,
somehow
cool.
they got my mugshot and then they got it on 31 billboards all over the freeways. It's like absolutely insane. I couldn't make this up if I possibly could. I ended up on the Lego. I am now the world's first Lego figurine of Pitmaster because
I had hoped that it had showed up in time because I was gonna hold it up, but it didn't get here.
They're sold out. I cannot keep that in stock because
I know.
Lego's acting like some kind of diamonds or something, right? They will refuse to give me any more. So I had so many people ask me for the Lego, and I've been trying to give it away or sell it or something, but Legos keeps holding it back. It's like almost like a cartel, like a cartel. They're controlling the supply.
It's funny, Harry. I mentioned to a good friend of mine that I was going to interview you, and he goes, well, you have to get the figurine. And I was like, what are you talking about? And they sent me the link, and I'm like, I do. I have to.
Yeah, I'm completely amazed at the subculture. Well, 6 months ago, someone from Lego contacted me and said, hey, you don't know who we are, but we are Legos. And out of the 400 billion Lego in the world, we don't have a barbecue pitmaster, a grand champion one. Would you like to be it? And I thought it was a prank again, just like the TV show, right?
Right.
Who would call me and ask me to be a Lego, right? So I say, yeah. And then I send them the graphics. And then 3 months ago, they sent me the mock-up and said, oh my God, this is a real thing. By the way, we have a grand opening of the store in Costa Mesa, California. We would like you to headline the store. Would you show up in the store and sign autographs and all that kind of stuff? I say, oh, okay. I've never done that before. I know how to serve you rib, but so I brought a tray of barbecue and I went to this Lego store in Costa Mesa, and there was like a line outside the door when I got there. I got there early in the morning. There's a line out there, and it's like piranhas. They jump in and try to buy as many of those things as they can. And I didn't realize that some of these little tiny 2-inch figurines are thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
and then it's limited edition, so people come in and they have to ration people. You can only buy one. You can't buy like 20. So I guess you can use it. It's better than crypto because it goes up in value.
I know exactly where that store is. My wife's from Costa Mesa, so I know exactly where that store is.
Okay, yeah. Now they have a Lego store there, and I'm the only figurine that is available in that store. So now I got to beg them to get a few on my website because all my friends are asking me for that because they want to put me on their smoker. So that when they cook, my mojo is watching over them. And I told them that when you go on stage on Saturday, please put me in your pocket and walk on stage, and I'll be there with you.
That way you can walk with them.
I'm walking with you, and I'm celebrating your success.
That's great. Well, in the same vein, do you have a favorite present that you like to give to people?
I'm from California, so I like to give chocolates. I like See's chocolate. That's my weakness. So everywhere I go, I try to bring a box of See's candy with me. Have you had See's candy yet?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right, okay. If you're not, I gotta ship you a box. I'm a chocoholic. I have a weakness. Even though my doctor says don't eat chocolates, because of the sugar. But hey,
there's only one life.
Gotta live a little bit.
There's only one life, right? And I want it to be filled with chocolate too. Last question: if you could have a billboard anywhere getting a message out to millions or billions of people, what would it say and why?
Oh, the billboard would basically say that life is brief, live with intensity. Don't could have, don't would have, don't should have. Just go ahead and do it. If my journey is testimony to that, right? I'm in a new chapter of my life called retirement. So in my retirement chapter, everything I do is centered around just three basic questions I ask myself, right? Number one, can I feed you? Can I serve you? And can I love you? If I can do those three things, I'll say yes. And I've done some crazy gigs around the world that have sight unseen and no idea what I was doing. I just came out of Panama and I taught a class to 40 people in Panama. And I'm driving down the freeway with my host and taking me to the site where I'm teaching the class. And then far off in the distance, there's a building. And I noticed there is a mugshot on the side of the building. As he drive closer, I realized to my horror, that mugshot is me. Okay, so they had a 10 by 10 poster of my headshot right on the side of the building where I was taking the class. I thought, oh my God, no! This is like I'm in Panama. I need to be unknown. Why is that mugshot there? They say, oh no, everybody in Panama knows you, Harry. They watch your YouTube religiously, and we got all 40 of your crazy fans that are ready to learn from you. And I thought, wow, what has happened is barbecue love has spread around the world. And I was so privileged. And then I didn't realize that after the class, they asked me to sign the 10 by 10 foot poster. I signed it.
Sweet.
And then next thing I know, all the 40 students signed all over my mugshot. And then I think, oh, wonderful. So then the owner tell me, oh, by the way, I own a restaurant and that's going to go right into the restaurant. So I guess if you go to Panama and you go to Austin Mama's restaurant and you see my headshot, that is the story behind my headshot. I didn't do it. I didn't want my headshot up there, but somehow I ended up on a restaurant as the centerpiece as you walk in.
That's fantastic, Harry. That is great. And man, I can't thank you enough for being on here. It has been a great conversation, and I hope that we get to do it again soon. And for all of you guys listening, you can find out everything about that's going on with Harry on Slap Yo Daddy BBQ.com. It is comprehensive. There's so much content and so many great things on there, and it's all filled with joy and love. And I encourage you to check it out. And thank you again, my friend. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Look, anytime you want to shoot the breeze, just, give me a call.
We can do it, buddy. We can do it. Thanks again. Thank you for listening to Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast. Be sure to subscribe and like the podcast, rate the podcast, and to share it out with your friends. Also be sure to check out the Old Virginia Smoke TikTok as well. Old Virginia Smoke, one word. That's all you have to search for. It's hilarious. Tune in next week for another great episode of Pitmaster. For companies interested in advertising, please contact Old Virginia Smoke directly via www.oldvirginiasmoke.com. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is edited by Chris Sedanka. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is a property of Old Virginia Smoke, LLC.
Old Virginia Smoke. Old Virginia.